In this video, which I'm going to start with the GoPro Hero 5, which has been rather handy on this trip because I've been able to use a third camera. No microphone on it, so I hope the sound is passable. Now the pack of choice for putting the camera in, or cameras in, as it now is this Mountain Laurel Designs bum bag. I'm not sure if this is the Burrow or the Burrito or anyway, so this is on the MLD website, and it fits everything in there, you know, just perfectly. It's very, very lightweight, and with a bit of jiggery pokery I can get all of my camera stuff in there. The only thing that won't fit in there is my external microphone for the Sony camera, but I don't really use that so much now. I'm more bringing this just in case. I can't put this Ulanzi light in, which I've never actually used before and only recently bought, so we will see whether that's much use, but I've carried that separately as well. And the only other thing that I can't put in is this, which I will show you more later on. But all of those things are really only part-time things that would go in my pack and are not strictly needed anyway, although the front of the pack has these little pockets in here, one here and one there, so I could theoretically put a filter in there from there, but probably wouldn't do that. It might be a little bit too risky. So what I'm going to do is, without further ado, let's open this pack and then we can switch away from this camera here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in here and hand holding as calmly as I can. So in the very top I've just got the strap to this. Now what I'm thinking of doing is I'll obviously be using the Rode Go microphone system. This is the first edition, as it were, and this will probably be attached to myself or stores in here easily, comes out, and then it can attach to myself very quickly. The only bit that's a tiny bit awkward is the GoPro Hero 9 fits in here just with this handle, but I do have to sort of press it a little bit against the camera here, but really I don't think that's a major problem. And I do have to you know, just rotate this handle ever so slightly, you know, to fit it in, but it does fit in nonetheless, and it fits in with the Rode Go attached as well, so it simply is a quick taking out, hitting record, and you're pretty much ready to go straight away with this setup. And then lastly in here at my feet is the Sony Alpha 6400 camera. This is a video on my equipment. Right, so I've put the microphone it's like a neck tickler there. I did put it in front here, and I think it's just going to hang down a bit, so I'm just going to try it on my neck there and just see how it goes there, kind of like out the way. I've put a neutral density filter on the GoPro, which I will talk about in a minute as well. Now, first of all, let's go through pieces of kit that I was using and why I'm using it a bit less now. So first of all, probably the most obvious thing is the Sony ECM XY STM microphone. Now, but it is quite it's not heavy, but it, you know, it carries some heft. But for the moment, I think it's worth you know, keeping with me, generally speaking, until I'm 100% confident with the Rode Go, which I am 100% confident with. But if the batteries ran out or anything happened, then, you know, for the moment, this is maybe a useful backup. Also, because I'm using multiple camera systems and I'm sometimes showing the Rode Go microphone system, it's handy to have another microphone for, you know, for that situation as well. So I can show one microphone while using another one. So that may not be clearly a permanent thing, but for this trip it was useful. The camera that I was using as my main camera was this Sony A6400, and it's a very, very nice camera. It's quite compact, it's relatively light. There's a couple of reasons why I've switched to the GoPro. One, and this is probably the main reason, when I'm walking and talking, I've noticed that most other people's footage is very, very steady. And when I'm using the Sony A6400, even though it has a Steadicam built into it, so say, it's never really been steady. And most of my footage, you know, is quite shaky. You know, if I'm being brutally honest with myself, it's not as good as, you know, as most other people out there. So it either meant putting that on the camera, or putting the Sony on the tripod most of the time, which is not always convenient when you're out here, or upgrading the, or not necessarily upgrading, but maybe changing camera system. Now I was using, and I still have, and again it's useful, the GoPro Hero 5, which of course you saw in a video that Lassie filmed recently. Well, I uploaded recently, but did it last year. And I'd seen obviously the GoPro Hero 9 came out, and it just really got me thinking that you know, maybe changing cameras to something that actually is steady when you're walking would be advantageous. And GoPro had a deal on it. You got a free spare battery, or that anything's free, but you got a free spare battery, and it was obviously, you know, cheaper than anywhere else. And I'd seen plenty of videos online of the GoPro Hero 9 setup that was, you know, looked worth changing. Just a quick note, down below are, hopefully, if I'm still an associate, if I'm still an affiliate person with Amazon, some links for Amazon things. So maybe just pop down there, and if you're in the market for anything via Amazon, either cameras that I've linked down below or equipment that I use for camping, or you just want to buy your own things, because you're perfectly free to buy whatever you want, just whip down there in the description via one of my links, and then just do some browsing, and it just helps the channel a tiny bit. So that's basically why I switched to the GoPro Hero 9, was simply for more steady footage. And I really just wanted to make sure that I could also use neutral density filters. So I'm going to come on to neutral density filters in a second. As always, all of my videos are filmed, maybe from a similar place, but never mind. All of my videos, of course, are filmed from a tent in Dartmoor. So if you want something a little bit different, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you like camping and camera and Rolex watch content, then be sure to pop back again, would be much appreciated. What we've got here is I got this on Amazon. It's a very cheap iGadgets, sounds like me, just for putting filters in. and it's about perfect actually, because with the GoPro neutral density filters there was a pack of 3 on there. This is an ND16, there's an ND32 down there, and the one that I have attached to the GoPro is an ND8, and that offers 3, 4 and 5 stops of light reduction when it's very, very light. So I hope that you're picking me up okay there. It's difficult to tell exactly what the exposure is like on this, but hopefully it's exposing okay for me and the bright light isn't affecting it too much. Not that you need to be seeing me too much, you want to see the you want to be looking at my equipment more than me. So I've shown you the camera, so that's the, and then up here I have a circular neutral density filter that attaches to the front of this camera here like that, and with that I can just rotate to how much neutral density strength I need, and this one goes from about neutral density 2, which is quite low, all the way to 32. So 2 to 32 on that. Now, one thing I am thinking of doing, Sony did bring out a vlogger camera. I think it's a ZV-1. Now, I am quite interested in that camera because I think it would be a lighter alternative to what I've got here. I think it would be a lighter alternative to that, and the microphone will also attach to it easily. But I just read a few reports that 1, it's still not that steady when walking with it. 2, it's it only focuses back to 24mm, not 16, which this lens does. So when you're hand holding, really going back to 16mm I think is useful for hand holding particularly. And well, that's the main things really, to be honest. And obviously it's £1,000, which I don't mind spending money on a watch, but I spent so much money on camera equipment. Now if I'm getting something, I really want it to be something that's going to be, you know, really, really useful, or I may as well just stick with what I've, you know, currently got. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to this camera just to show you this camera setup here. The battery on this has died. I charged it up overnight. I think there's still some power in this, but I did leave them on and they're supposed to last 7 hours, and I don't think they've been on 7 hours, and I've only been using them occasionally. So once again, I've put the directional mic on top of the whatchamacallit, on top of the camera. So I'll have to go back into camp and get some charge into these so I can use the GoPro, because the GoPro, although I could use the media mod. I suppose in an absolute emergency, if you can't use these, then you do have this media mod attachment here. So you could use that with that. So it probably actually is worth keeping that little special attachment sock thing that goes over this. That might be worth keeping, because if these run out of power and you can't charge them up for any reason, then, you know, for the want of a few grams, it probably is worth keeping that sock in place. But I was doing some talking, just walking backwards and forwards there, just explaining that I'm going to use the GoPro for hand holding, moving around, because it's going to be steadier, and that I use the Sony pretty much exclusively on a tripod from now on. So hopefully the camera footage that you get will be steadier rather than the very shaky footage which I have been producing a lot of. I mean, it doesn't bother me, and nobody's really complained about it. It is what it is. If you're hand holding something and you can't keep it steady, you can't keep it steady. If your equipment's too big and you can't hold it still. But obviously if there are ways around it, then it probably is worth doing. Now, I could just bring the GoPro and leave the Sony behind, which maybe I would do, but it's just handy, I think, to have two cameras. Then you can do different setups and things like that. So that's another question moving forward, and especially if Sony bring out a ZV-2, that might be of interest, and I might be able to leave this one behind, because that ZV-2 might do everything that this does in a smaller setup than obviously, you know, the Sony with the Car's Zeiss lens on it. I think I did a video a while ago on why I changed from the full frame format to the 6400, which I'm using here, the half frame, and it got a lot of marks down, a lot of thumbs down, because I think people like to know all the specs and everything like that about the cameras. And I think when they're watching a video, they expect to hear all the specs about this and the specs about that, and I don't really remember all the specs about all these things, and you just have to look it up. So I'm just talking about what I'm using rather than exactly what it can do, which I might do a video on that at some point in the future. But this is really just a video of, I'm using obviously the GoPro for hand holding, the Sony A6400 at the moment for camera work, and also I might be able to use that better for getting close to things. So, you know, I don't think if I'm doing watch videos out here, or if I'm doing other videos out here where I might want to zoom in closer to things, then I'm kind of thinking that the GoPro might be a bit limited for that. That's where a ZV-2 would be useful if Sony produce one. Then it'll be easier and lighter to bring out than carrying, you know, that with this lens on it. Because I prefer the 16 to 70 f4 lens to the little pancake zoom lens, which I do have, but I'm not, and people seem to use it quite successfully. I've used it a few times, a couple of times, once I think, and I just wasn't overly impressed with the quality of the footage from it. Now maybe it's because I'm rubbish at doing this and I just wasn't using it properly, or because it's a super cheap lens compared to, you know, this Zeiss lens. So I didn't know, so the chances of me using that lens is pretty pretty slim, to be honest. So this is pretty much all I wanted to do on this video. It's been another long waffly video, like all of mine are. Most of you will disappear after a few minutes. Look, you know, it's me, it's what I do. You know, I can't just do a short 2-minute video on something. I always tend to waffle on for far too long, and I think that's another reason why I don't get the views and subscribers, because everyone gets bored after a minute. Then thanks for watching if you've got this far. Don't forget to hit the like button, because that helps the channel. Please, if I'm still an Amazon associate, if they haven't kicked me out for nobody buying anything, then just check out the links below. And if you want to purchase anything from the Amazon affiliate links that I have below, you don't actually have to buy anything directly. You don't have to buy those items, but if you click on those links and buy anything that you want on Amazon, could be anything, then I'll get like a tiny teeny weeny commission back on that for telling you to go to Amazon to buy something. And that would be useful because I would like to try and keep on the affiliate links, but you've got to get 3 sales in 6 months, and so far in 3 months I've had 1 sale. So it would be really helpful if someone could purchase a couple of things from Amazon. I would appreciate it now and in the future. Alright, I'm going to shut up. That's enough of my selling stuff. Catch you all again in another video when I get another idea or something else to bore you all about. Thanks very much. Just one other thing that I would just edit in and add in here. You can't actually see it, but what I'm going to do is turn the... So I have attached, now you can see it's gone quite dark now, and I have a neutral density filter, and as I turn it, the picture doesn't really change, but it's lightening and darkening. And if I take the neutral density filter off, just get there eventually. Right, then it goes up to f22 and it's flashing. So I must admit the brightness is just about acceptable. It's not overly bright, but I do have this little neutral density filter which I think you saw earlier in the video. So when it's very bright, I just screw this onto the front of the camera just so I have less light going in, because I like to have the f-stop at around about f11, f12, anywhere around there is fine, it doesn't really matter, but anything around f11. I like the shutter speed on 50th of a second, and I like the ISO as low as possible. Here it's 100. And just super quick here, this is still camera video. The neutral density filters that I get, they're on Amazon. I can't remember how much they were. They were about £30, something like that. Again, hopefully there's an affiliate link below for these, but these attach to the GoPro Hero 9, you know, super easy. They just slip over the top like that. And this one is the neutral density 8, which is a 3-stop neutral density filter. Now I'm not sure what the camera is focusing on. It's probably just focusing on me rather than the camera. It would be useful to have the new camera when it focuses on, when you put an item in front of it, that it focuses on that item quickly rather than just staying focused on me as well. So that would be useful. Anyway, that's that. Catch you again soon.